fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull. When you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. You got Craig and TK and Head that D, tune in at the fish report.
Coming to you live from Studio F in Russia, Ohio. It's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
Tune in to the fish report.
Welcome, everyone, to another Fish Report Live. Happy New Year to you out there. My name's Craig Fissinger. That's Ken Francis. Back in our sound room, our TK and Heavy D will be talking to them a little bit later in the show. And Ken, we've been off for a couple weeks. Took a holiday break. Got to catch up on a lot of boys and girls high school basketball, and I know you've been to a lot of games. Care to guess how many games you've actually been to in the last couple weeks?
Well, Craig, it's been a bunch. I've been traveling around Shelby and Miami County, and probably 14, 16 games, maybe 20 games. I don't know, but it's been a lot of fun. It's that time of year, and had a great holiday season for the Raiders in basketball, and it was just fun going out and cheering on all the local teams.
All right, well, like I said, we got a lot of catching up to do tonight, including a couple big interviews. Who we got tonight?
Well, Craig, we're going to call up Fairlawn sophomore basketball star Audrey Francis, the leading scorer for the Jets. Craig, she's having another phenomenal year. She had a great year last year as a freshman. She's a fantastic athlete. She's a two-sport star over there in volleyball and basketball both, Craig. So we're really looking forward to talking to her, as well as, Craig, our first time on the show this year, Matt Zircher, a.k.a. Big Dog. Really looking forward to talking to the Shelby County League hoops expert and talking some boys basketball with Matt.
All right, well, before we get to all that, just like we do every week, we have a weekly trivia question. And what do you have for me this week?
Well, Craig, we talked about going to a lot of basketball games, and we spent some time over at Piqua and went over to the Buckeye Insurance Group, the BIG Holiday Classic over there at Piqua. They do a great job of putting on a very nice holiday tournament, Craig. Unfortunately for the girls, it will no longer be there anymore, but the boys tournament will continue. Next year it's expanding to 8 boys teams instead of just 4, so that'll be interesting. And this year the Raiders came away with all 4 championships, the JV boys and girls, as well as the varsity boys and girls. Speaking of the girls, Craig, they will be the final champions, like I said, over there at the BIG tournament. Who was the last team to knock off the Raiders in the Buckeye Insurance tournament? Was it Piqua-Lehman, Covington, or no one? The Raiders ran a perfect 6-0 record over a 3-year span.
You gave me an easy one tonight.
I gave you an easy one.
I absolutely knew the answer to that one, but we'll see what our viewers know out there. So if you're watching us on the Fish Report Live page right now, you can scroll down, answer the question, and check the results. If you're watching us on NK Telco, Cable TV Channel 3, we will have those results for you at the end of the show. All right, Ken, well, so much to cover, so little time tonight, so let's get things started out talking some SCAL girls basketball. We're at about the halfway point right now. Let's check the standings, see where we're at right now.
Well, Craig, the Fort Laramie Redskins sitting alone at the top at 5-0, Craig. Just one game ahead of the Russia Raiders. Russia's lone loss this year, a 5-point loss at home to the Redskins. Those two will be getting back together here in another week or so to probably determine the Shelby County League champion this year. The Jackson Center Tigers, Craig, playing much better basketball. We've talked all year how they're a very athletic team. They're finally getting the ball rolling over there in the right direction. They're sitting at 3-2 after a big win versus Anna the other night. Houston sitting at 3-3 in the middle of the pack. Anna Botkins and Fairlawn bringing up the bottom 3. So it's the things that the league is starting to take shape, Craig. Fort Laramie sitting alone at the top, Craig, something we kind of figured would happen, but we knew the Russia Raiders would be right there on their tail, and they are.
All right, well, a lot of big games coming up on Thursday night, including Fort Laramie and Jackson Center. That's going to be a big one. And then our Russia Raiders host Fairlawn on Thursday. And I think Fairlawn's kind of an interesting team. You know, they started out the season, Ken, playing Covington, got an overtime win against them. Then they lost 6 games in a row. And I kind of wrote them off. But then they come back and they win 4 in a row. So, you know, they're back in things. And then last night, Tuesday night, they had a tough game against New Bremen, dropped that one to break that 4-game winning streak. But I think, you know, one thing you need to look at with those, you know, they got 5 wins. Unfortunately, none of those are in the league. But when you look at those losses they have, you know, you got Fort Laramie, Jackson Center, Houston in there, 3 of the better teams in the SCL, and one other loss they have is Mechanicsburg, which has a decent team this year also.
Yes, they do, Craig. And, when you look at it, it says a lot for the Shelby County League that they have not been able to win in the league, but they've been able to win outside the league. They're the only team in the Shelby County League, Craig, without a junior varsity team. So that also plays into effect with it. It's taken the Jets a while to get the team chemistry going, Craig, but they're playing very well right now, Craig, and they're led by a super sophomore by the name of Audrey Francis.
Yeah, they got a pretty good nucleus to work around over there in her. Like you said at the top of the show, she had a fantastic freshman year, averaged, I believe, something like 18 points a game. She's kind of picked up where she left off last night against New Bremen. She had 20 points in that game. We're actually happy to have her live on the phone right now. Audrey Francis, welcome to Fish Report Live, and thanks for joining us tonight.
Audrey?
Yes.
All right, thanks for joining us now. Hey, we were just mentioning your Fairlawn team being a little streaky this year as far as wins and losses go, and Ken kind of mentioned the more that you play, the better you're going to get. So I'd like to start out talking about how your team is playing now compared to where you were at the first half of December. Are you a better team right now than you were that first half of December?
Yes, we are a lot better. We came a long way from the beginning of the season. At the beginning of the first 2 games, we didn't know how to work together. We were in foul trouble with short girls. It doesn't help. But as the season went on, more and more people have started to score and have confidence, and we're becoming slowly successful.
All right, well, I'm sure when most teams scout you, their number one concern is probably figuring out how to stop you. But you've also got some teammates over there that I know how to score as well. I know last night you kind of struggled with that. You had 20 points. The rest of your team struggled a little bit with the scoring. But talk about a couple of your teammates that are capable of playing well this season.
Abby Rowe and Carrie Nuss have helped tremendously. They help me at the point sometimes. They can shoot, and they also can get to the basket, which helps free me up. Cheyenne Driscoll, Molly Rowe, Megan Dundon helped us on the defensive end, getting us a couple rebounds a game and a few points here and there, which helps a lot.
Hi, Audrey. This is Ken Francis. And let's talk a little bit about your upcoming game Thursday night. You'll be coming over to Russia to take on the Russia Raiders, a team in which you're very familiar with a few of their players, as well as Russia coach Tim Hatcher. Explain your connection with a couple of these Russia Raiders.
I do play AAU with Maria Herron and Tim Hatcher, and Tim has been my coach for a long time. So it'll be interesting playing with them and seeing them tomorrow. We're all really close, so it'll be a fun game.
Let's talk about your AAU team a little bit. You've played, of course, like you said, with Maria and Tiffany. You play for a team known as the Firehawks, along with Rosie Westerbeck of Minster, Camille Watron from Versailles, who's also starting varsity this year. Tell us about your experience playing with these girls and how it has helped you as an athlete as well as a basketball player.
We've all played together for a long time now. Playing together with them has helped me be a better basketball player. Playing with competitiveness is also a big thing. We have fun, but we also learn, and playing against a harder competition has made us all better athletes on the court and off the court.
Audrey, the last time you were in Russia's Claire C. Nouveau Gymnasium was for a volleyball game, a game in which the Jets came away with a big victory that night. How does this volleyball win, how can it carry over to potential success Thursday night when you take on the Russia Raiders?
It gives us, the team, a lot of confidence, and let's hope we can bring that onto the court and show them that we can have success and we can make it a good game.
All right, Audrey, listen, hey, last question, we'll let you go, but I actually had a chance to talk to your dad back in December. He was over here for a boys' game. I believe it was the St. Henry game. We were talking a little bit, and I know you're a big basketball family over there, and he mentioned how competitive you are with one another in basketball, and he mentioned a couple interesting games of pig that you guys have played out in the driveway. Can you share the story? He had a good story about a bet you guys had where he actually lost the game of pig. You mind sharing that story, what he lost in that bet?
Yeah. One weekend when the whole family was home, we're all competitive, so, we're going to play basketball. And we were playing pig in the front yard, and my dad kept talking, so we were like, let's make a bet. We made a bet if one of us wins, he had to dye his hair. Well, he didn't end up winning, and he had to dye his hair.
That's good stuff, Audrey. I'd like to have seen that.
Yeah, I don't think I'm competitive, but I don't think I'd make a bet like that with my kids.
I don't think so either.
Hey, well, listen, Audrey, that's good stuff. It was sure nice talking to you. Look forward to seeing you on Thursday night in Russia, and I want to thank you for joining us tonight on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Audrey. Good luck to you.
Yep.
All right, that was the star sophomore for Fairlawn, Audrey Francis. And Ken, anytime I've seen her in this gym, whether it's volleyball, basketball, whatever, she's a player.
She comes from a very athletic family, Craig. Her brother, herself, her dad was a basketball star at Fairlawn. So, she's got it in her blood, Craig. She's very competitive, and she has the skills.
All right, well, we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to come back. We're going to talk some boys basketball, including that big interview with Matt Zircher, a.k.a. Big Dog, or maybe it's Big Dog, a.k.a. Matt Zircher. I'm not really sure, but stay there, and we'll be right back.
Well, I'm digging on you. I'm digging on you. What's poor boy to do? You got me acting a fool. I'm digging on you. I'm digging on you. I'm digging on you. What's poor boy to do? You got me black and blue. I'm digging on you. I've been watching from my window, and I just can't get my eyes off of you, girl. You don't know me, you don't know I'm looking. Oh, how I wish to be part of your world. Well, I'm digging on you. I'm digging on you. What's the poor boy to? You got me acting a fool. I'm digging on you. I'm digging on you. I'm digging on you. What's the poor boy to? You got me black and blue. I'm digging on you. Well, I'm hypnotized by every expression in the way you run your fingers through your hair. Would you find us romantic? Oh, a little bit frightening to know that you are never, ever alone. Well, I'm digging on you. I'm digging on you. What's the poor boy to? You got me acting a fool. I'm digging on you. I'm digging on you. I'm digging on you. What's the poor boy to? You got me black and blue. I'm digging on you.
All right, welcome back to the second half of Fish Report Live. Ken, before the break, we were talking some girls basketball. Now we're going to talk a little boys basketball. When we were last on air a couple weeks ago, we were talking about Russia and Jackson Center being tied for first place in the league. They are tied no longer, are they?
No, they're not, Craig. Russia currently sitting at 5-0 in the Shelby County League, 10-0 overall. They've played very well, Craig, but they've got a couple teams right on their heels, Craig. The Fort Laramie Redskins having an excellent season this year, Craig. They're sitting at 4-1, 7-2 overall. Jackson Center also at 4-1. So looks to be a three-team race right now, Craig. I don't see any of the other teams stepping into it, although those teams could get big wins over the top three on any time, but they've all got at least 3 losses already, Craig. So, but like I said, Jackson Center, Fort Laramie, big game Friday night. Russia's got a tough contest with Fairlawn. So anything can happen in the Shelby County League when you're playing in the round-robin schedule. Teams get to know each other very well, and that's what makes it difficult in the league.
All right, I know Bachman's just trying to get to that 500 mark as well, playing a little bit better this year than they were last year. They got a big game with Anna on Friday night too, so that ought to be an interesting one.
Yeah, Anna's kind of a dangerous team, Craig. You know, they've lost some games by a lot, but they've also had some big wins this year. They beat New Knoxville earlier in the year. They took Jackson Center into overtime. So Anna's a very dangerous team, even though they're just 1-4 in the league, 3-6 overall. They're going to win some games.
All right. Well, you know, as much as you and I think we know about Shelby County Athletic League basketball, there's one guy that knows a little bit more.
He does know an awful lot. He's
actually got a website called mattzircher.com. It's on the Fish Report website. There's a link to it. It's I just call it Matt Stats for short. But this guy, I look at that website, I think, almost every day. He's been on the show numerous times. We call him up whenever we want opinions on the SCAL. His name is Matt Zircher. We kind of just call him Big Dog, though. We're happy to have him live on the phone right now. Big Dog, welcome to Fish Report Live, and thanks for joining us.
Good to be on. Thanks, guys.
Welcome to the show, Matt. Appreciate you sharing your knowledge with our listeners out here on Fish Report Live. We know who to go to get all the information.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that.
All right. First of all, I want to ask how you're doing. It's the first time having you on the show this season. As a matter of fact, I haven't even seen you in any gyms around. So I guess the first question I ask is, are you still covering the SCAL?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely covering all the leagues, like you said, on the website. It's just been kind of crazy. We've had a lot of Friday night games with the women. We just had a game tonight against Green Bay. Just been all over the last couple of weeks. And then we had a wrestling tournament here at the Nutter Center right after Christmas. So, but I imagine with conference play starting up here, you'll be seeing me out here a few more Friday nights.
Hey, Big Dog, this is Ken. Let's first talk about our home team, the Russia Raiders. There was a lot of hype about this team coming into the season. Last year, they were Shelby County League champions. They won 22 games last year. They were district champions. They had their top 7 players all back. Tell us, you know, they have not disappointed, obviously, going into the season. But tell us if you see, you know, what you see on the Raiders and if you see any pitfalls for this team coming into the second half.
Well, like you said, having those 7 guys coming back, the balance that they've shown here so far has really been quite impressive. It's somebody different every night. I mean, Gavin does his thing, but you've had like York and Garrity and just a bunch of different guys that have contributed night to night. And I think that's one of the things that's going to help Russia avoid the pitfalls, because you're not going to rely on one guy every night.
All right, Big Dog, I want to ask about the Jackson Center Tigers. They gave Russia a pretty good game earlier this season, and they have a star over there in Gavin Wildermuth. You know, 3 years ago when Jackson Center made that run to the state championship game, got beat there, they did it on the shoulders of a pretty good guy by the name of Andy Hoying. And I compare Gavin to Andy. I mean, is he capable of taking a team like Jackson Center and putting them on his back or leading the team and making a run in the postseason?
I definitely think so. Both those guys, good players inside and outside, and they can do a little bit of everything. Just a little worried here about Jackson Center here the last couple of weeks. They kind of dropped that lead, like you said, against Russia, and they lost by 4. And then they went to Columbus Grove and lost by 17. And then they had to battle just to win in overtime at home against Anna. So the big one coming up here at Lorme, the losers are going to be 2 games down in the standings, and I don't think anybody wants to do that going into the second round.
Big Dog, I want to talk about the Fort Lorme Redskins a little bit. They're having an outstanding season this year under first-year coach Corey Brenton. Last year they had a nice team. They were very well coached by Carl Ratterman. Lorme changed directions this year, went to a guy that nobody really had heard of when they hired Corey Brenton. But he's doing a nice job. Tell us about the Redskin program and what they need to continue to improve.
You can't argue with the results that Lorme has had so far this year. They're 7-2, and your 2 losses are to Russia and St. Henry. You just can't argue about that. That's a lot of teams are going to, obviously so far, have lost to both Russia and St. Henry. And then they have had those big wins. They came from behind. They beat Bremen. They came from behind to beat Knoxville. And then they had that double overtime win against Lehman. When you win games like that, it's easy to get the team and the community behind you when you can come up with those kind of wins. And like I said, that game Friday coming up here when they host Jackson Center, that's definitely going to be a big one.
Big Dog, what's going to define success for that program over there? You know, they've been to the district tournament a number of years here recently. What's going to make them? What's going to define a successful season for them?
Like you said, they probably got to make a run in the tournament. You know, they're used to those deep runs, and it's probably going to take that kind of a run again to sell everybody on the team.
All right, well, listen, I got one more question, and that's about the team that's probably fallen the furthest, I guess, in the Shelby County League, and that's that Houston Wildcats. You know, last year they finished the regular season the league schedule 9-3. This year they're at 0-6. You know, last year this was a senior-loaded team. They had the Player of the Year in Jesse Flippo. They lost all that, which probably explains most of it. But obviously, Coach Willoughby must love what he does over there. Any idea how he compares to other coaches in the SCAL in terms of tenure, wins, you know, those kind of things?
Oh, obviously, like you said, him and Paul Bremagen are the veterans of the coaches in the league. Paul started in 84, 85, and I think John started like the year after. So they've both been here going on 30 years. And they've, like you said, Houston's had their struggles this year, but they've had a pretty good run over the last 10 years. They've been in the sectional finals 7 times. Each of those are the last 4 years, and then they had 4 district titles in that run, and they've had 14 wins. This year was just a bad year to be young. With all the guys coming back, like you said, Russia had 7 guys coming back. Jackson Center has quite a few guys back. It's just a bad year. Lormy had some kids coming back, and Fairlawn too. It's just a bad year to be young and rebuilding.
Well, that's great stuff, Big Dog. We really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to get on our show tonight. Is it all right if we give you a call maybe around tournament time and get some predictions from you?
All right, that sounds great. Yeah, the tournament draw coming up here for the boys on February 15th. It'll come up sooner than you think.
Sounds great. Well, thank you, and good luck to you.
All right, thanks. You guys too.
See you, Big Dog. All right, that was Big Dog, a.k.a. Matt Zircher, I'll call him.
That's right. You know, the voice of, or I shouldn't say the voice, but the knowledge of Shelby County League basketball, Craig. And, you know, he covers a lot of teams. He covers a lot of sports, and I know he's a busy guy out there. So we'll look forward to seeing him at a game soon.
That's for sure. All right, I want to go back to the sound room now, checking with the guys. There's TK and Heavy D. Guys, first thing I should probably ask is, how was the holiday break? How was your 2 weeks off from the show?
It was very good. Very good. A lot of basketball, just like Ken said, and a lot of celebrating. A good time to be out and about in Shelby County.
Yeah, ditto for me. A lot of chips and dips and a lot of spritzers.
Well, listen, I know we got a lot of viewers out there from both Russia and the Fort Laramie area, and there were a couple special things that happened over our holiday break, and hoping you could maybe share a couple of those things with our viewers out there.
Yeah, I'll start off with that, Craig. This past Saturday, Botkins came to Russia Saturday night to play a little boys basketball, and in between JV and varsity game, took some time to recognize the cross-country runners from both schools, as well as Russia track members who made it to the state meet this past year. So, again, the fall was cross-country, so we had Botkins recognize their boys team, as well as Chloe Flora, who was the lone girls cross-country representative for them at the state, which was very nice. And then, of course, brought out the whole team for the Russia boys and girls. So you can see the boys there. That team consisted of Ethan Monier, Caleb Ball, Alex Seger, Alex Heron, Jordan Garrity's there, as well as Connor Metz and Andrew Ball. So those boys did finish up 14th in the state, and that was their 9th consecutive appearance at the state cross-country meet. So a nice streak and another good showing for the boys. And then after that, we had the girls come out, recognize that team. It consists of seniors Claudia Monin and Emily Borchers, also supported by Shay Gubeau, Molly Kearns, Megan Frazier, and Lauren Heaton. The girls finished 3rd in the state, which is the highest ever for a girls team, and look for hopefully something similar next year. As we're just losing 2 seniors, so maybe beef up that team some more, and then we'll be right back where we were. Finally, did recognize some track participants, so you see them up there now. On the left is Lauren Heaton. Lauren won a state championship in the 400-meter dash, which is her 2nd state championship. She was involved in the a relay team a couple years ago that won at state. You can see there her shadow box, which will be displayed in the halls of Russia High School. And then next to her is, Nick Colby, who was there for the discus for the boys. So he was the lone boys participant in the state meet and track last spring. So it was a very nice event in between, again, the JV and the varsity game there.
Yeah, it was a nice ceremony. Was there for that, and it was kind of cool, like you mentioned, how they acknowledged Botkins as well as Russia. And go to you now, Heavy D, and I believe you have a kind of a follow-up story coming out of Fort Laramie, don't you?
Yeah, back in December, we talked about something called the Holiday Helper Game, and this is upcoming between the Fort Laramie and the Anna boys game. Basically, at that game, both communities donated over 400 gifts to be delivered to the Dayton Children's Hospital. And over the Christmas break, the Fort Laramie team actually went to Children's Hospital and delivered those gifts personally. And just recognized some of their athletes. We've got Cole Cadonier, Clint Ratterman, Ty Frilling, Devin Braun, Grant Oberding, Andy Greeley, and Frank Raithman. And they were there, spent some time there on December 30th at Children's Hospital. And really nice experience for those young men. A good opportunity to give back to the community.
All right, well, that's good stuff there. Too, Heavy D, a good life lesson on being both an athlete and a positive role model.
Absolutely.
All right, well, that's good stuff, guys. And, Ken, we got just a minute here. I do want to ask you a question. You know, as far as we were talking some boys basketball, we're at the kind of the halfway point of the season right now, and you know what that means. Some of those transfer students that didn't meet the exception to play, they start playing pretty soon, and it might change the landscape of things a little bit.
Yes, it can, Craig. You know, they have to sit out the first 11 games of the season. It's the OHSAA rule, Craig. That's the rule. I can't say I necessarily agree with that rule. You know, I think, you know, kids that transfer from school to school, I think they should play for their own community. If they do transfer, Craig, I think the penalty should be a lot more than just 11 games. But I don't set the rules, Craig. The OHSAA does. But you're right. It can change the scheme of some of the teams in the second half of the season.
Yeah, going to be interesting to see how that does change things. And one other thing I caught this afternoon on Twitter is that one guy we've kind of been following this year, Luke Kennard, down there in Franklin, although he doesn't play in our division, Division 4, Division 3, I believe they're Division 2, but he is within 51 points, I think, of passing Jimmy Jackson on Ohio's all-time scoring list. I think Jimmy's in number 19 spot right now, but you know, Luke, he can score 51 points in a game, no problem. We're actually going to probably see him next weekend, aren't we?
Really looking forward to it, Craig. I've never seen Mr. Basketball play. Really looking forward to seeing Luke Kennard, Craig. Of course, Craig, that will be at the Fly Into the Hoop Classic, which we're all very much looking forward to. A lot of local basketball fans will be traveling down to Kettering's Trent Arena, hopefully to watch our Russia Raiders take on the Tri-Village Patriots. Craig, you've got two of the top 5 teams in the state of Ohio going at it head-to-head in the tip-off for on Saturday, and then the nightcapper, Craig, Franklin versus Montrose Christian.
Yeah, kind of looking forward to that, and we may talk a little bit more about that next week.
We hope so.
All right, well, let's wrap up. Thanks. Answer tonight's trivia question that you asked me at the beginning of the night. Give me the question again, and we'll have the guys back in the sound room check the telemetrics out.
Well, Craig, we were talking a little Buckeye Insurance Classic lady basketball, and the Russia Raiders captured another championship over there this year. Who was the last team to beat the Lady Raiders in the Buckeye Insurance Group Holiday Tournament? Was it Piqua, Lehman, Covington, or nobody? The Raiders won a perfect 6-0.
All right, guys. Anything back there on the telemetrics?
Yeah, that's a pretty easy one, Craig. We're not even going to talk about the telemetrics. But before we get to the trivia question, I want to put a plug in. Coming up on January 24th, we're having the Russia Athletic Boosters are hosting the annual party after the game. There's actually not a game that day, but it's going to be on a Saturday. And going to have a DJ, tons of door prizes, and opportunities on to get some great raffle items there. And also, it's the $10,000 Ultimate Raider 50-50 drawing, which you have the chance to win up to $10,000. So there you go. Yeah, and I'm going to let you hang on the question, Craig.
It's kind of a cliffhanger there, Daryl,
yeah.
Or Heavy D. But it's I've been there many times. It's a fun night, Craig. just really looking forward to it again. The boosters do a great job of putting that on. A great fundraiser for the Raiders sports programs.
Yeah, the best part of that night is actually watching those auctioneers auction those items off. If you've never seen that, it's worth it. It's worth it. You got to see that just one time.
That's for sure.
Those guys are entertaining. But to answer your trivia question,
I know
of course it's an easy one. The Russia Raiders, 3 years in a row they've won that. Never been beat by any of those teams.
No, and Craig, I looked at the results. And I think their average margin of victory was like 33 points in 6 games. So the Russia Raiders just mopped up over there. And I want to give a shout-out, Craig, to Russia senior Kylie Wilson. She won the tournament most valuable player all 3 years, Craig. So not only did the Raiders win the tournament all 3 years, Russia's senior Kylie Wilson won the MVP award.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Well, listen, that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. I do want to say special thanks to Audrey Francis from Fairlawn for joining us on the show tonight, as well as our old buddy Big Dog. Ken and I and the crew, we're all going to be back again next week, same time, same place. So until then, have a great rest of the week, and good night, everyone.
Hanging at the fish report. 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 For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull when you tune in to the fish report. Hey,